Hi, this is Alchemist 2, and I'm back again with a book review, and I'm trying to be quiet so I don't wake up my dad. Recently I read C.S. Lewis's A Grief Observed, and actually this particular book was published under his pseudonym Clark, C.N. Clark. And don't be fooled by the size of this book. It's only 76 pages long. And despite the fact that it is a small book, it is very deep and profound and will challenge you in many ways. I saw a lot of parallels between Mr. Lewis's life and my father's, because he had family members that died of cancer, and so did my dad. And having had lost my mother to cancer in 2008, I can agree with a lot of the assessments that Mr. Lewis had in the book. He starts off rather resentful and angry, and seeing God as the unmoved mover, sort of a distant, untangible thing, unrelatable and cold and aloof and just stoic and sterile. And as he goes on in the book, you see that his demeanor changes. He develops a more mellow, malleable understanding of death itself. And this book was written about his wife, who was a Jewess, and she was his only intellectual equal. Mr. Lewis was very erudite, and it shows in these pages how very learned he was. And I really liked this book. I thought it was very insightful, and though there were some parts that were kind of difficult for me to read because I could relate very, very deeply to what he had gone through, especially when you lose someone close to you that you love. It takes a piece from you. It's really hard to describe it. You can't really understand unless you've gone through it yourself, and you will just feel this hole, this emptiness that can't be satiated or filled or soothed by anything, unless you allow yourself to be comforted by the words of people who want to try to uplift you and uphold you and support you in probably one of the darkest times of your life. And strange thing is, we all go through it. We all have to face our undefeatable foe. But you know, it's interesting how he comes to the conclusion at the end. I won't give it away, but this is probably what I consider one of Lewis's deeper, more thought-provoking works, and it's just very human and relatable, I think. And I just think that every C.S. Lewis fan needs to read this, because it's just really quite impressive. And just his word imagery, his language, the imagery that he uses is very striking, I think, and a lot of it is a little bit difficult to read in places just because of the raids he feels and the whole fact that he has no control over what has happened, and you cannot gain back what has been lost. But to me, it just helps me cope with it more because I see death not as an end, but as a beginning. And after seeing the film Hereafter, which I agree with wholeheartedly because, as you probably well know, I'm a proponent of the metaphysical, and I really have a strong belief in the metaphysical and phenomenons that we can't possibly explain or quantify with scientific knowledge. We take it all by faith, and our finite minds cannot possibly comprehend or grasp these things. And or C.S. Lewis, he understood that, and personally, I do think that this man was was very blessed, and he was touched by the Holy Spirit. I think I really believe that, and I'm sorry if that puts a lot of people off, but I'm just stating what I believe, and um, it's okay if you don't agree with it. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm completely fine with that. There's nothing wrong with having opinions. There's nothing wrong with living, just living. We're all entitled um, to live our lives the way that we choose, and life is all about learning and gaining experience, and death is one of those things that teaches us along the way. And as I said, it is not an end, but it is a beginning. And of course, no one really knows what happens. We do have some documentations of NDEs, which I think are truth. Of course, other people would probably say, "Oh, well, that's a bunch of malarkey." Well, yeah, I don't agree with that, but they're entitled to their to whatever they want to think about that. But that's another subject for another time. If you want an interesting read and one that will really get the synapses sparkling and buzzing and snapping in your brain, then I recommend A Grief Observed, particularly if you have lost someone dear and near to your heart. It may be a little bit difficult to read something having experienced something that recent and fresh. So I'd probably wait for at least a year. But despite that, I really, really recommend this because it's just another example of C.S. Lewis's literary genius and his incredible prose and the way he's able to weave the reader into his work and just empathize with them and just relate to them because we've all gone through this and we will all go through it. But don't think of it as a farewell. Think of it as just another realm just waiting for us. I mean, I know the veil's thinning. You may think I'm completely out of my gourd, but I have had experiences that that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the veil is thinning. But you can take that or leave it. It's up to you. But all I can say is I recommend A Grief Observed, and just read it with an open mind and see where it takes you.